Hi guys, good morning. Welcome to the channel. My name is Niladri Mukherjee and I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. I practice here in Guelph, Ontario. Can long gap in education between my last education and my proposed studies in Canada reduce my chances of getting the study permit acceptance? This is a very genuine question. This is a very common question. Hence, I thought to make a quick video out of it. What you have to understand is that you are allowed to get a Canadian study permit. You are legally allowed to study in Canada irrespective of your age, as long as you're able to justify why you want to come to Canada and study in Canada and why you do not want to study in your home country, for example, right? It all boils down to justification. So a justification is the key to it. Now, more often than not, people are trying to get to Canada as a student, which makes sense because express entries draws are sort of non-existent for for outside Canada candidates, except for those PNP ones, obviously. And even if a draw comes out in the month of July, the score is going to be definitely over 490 up or something. So that is not being applicable to majority of you that have been waiting with a score of 450, 470 or something and have been anxiously waiting to come to Canada. So study is the most workable option, most logical option. But what if you are 35? What if you are 40? And what if you have crossed the age bracket of 30, which means that you have a work experience of maybe 6 years or maybe 15 years. It really does not matter. You can still come to Canada as a student. You can still successfully come to Canada as a student if you are able to justify what you have been doing. For example, if you have a work experience of 10 long years, then you should not be dependent on your parents or somebody else to fund your Canadian studies. That's just one example. If you are working here working anywhere in an MNC, in a multinational company, and if you're writing that on your letter of explanation, the officer generally expects you to have a good English or French score. You cannot score 5.5 and say that I am working in an MNC, right? Because if you're working for so long, you're expected to be proficient in your language of communication, which is English or French in Canada, even though obviously those are not your mother tongue, right? So these are I would say some of the common elements that you have to take care of. But more generally speaking, you really have to choose a university than a college. This changes the dynamics completely, I would say. Your acceptance rate in general will be way higher in a university. I mean that if you get an acceptance from a university, your potential acceptance in Canada as a student definitely goes up as compared to if you get an admission from a college. But at the same time, obviously, getting an admission from a university is not easy, which is why getting a study permit approved, if you get hold of an university, is comparatively easier. Having said that, our documentation has to be perfect, your application has to be perfect, letter of explanation has to be drawn perfectly all right, your proof of fund has to be sufficient, your motivation to go back to your home country have to be that much stronger. Obviously, you do not have to go back, but yes, your application should prove that you will go back. But at the same time, if you just have to compare between a college and a university, if you get hold of an university, the possibility of you being getting a study permit will be higher up. That really boils down to my suggestion here, and that is, instead of planning to come to Toronto or GTA or Ontario, try to get hold of those universities where many people do not want to go. For example, in Newfoundland, right? For example, in New Brunswick, for example, in Manitoba, for example, in Saskatchewan. Try to get hold of those universities. And mind you, really do not have to end up residing in those provinces after you complete your studies and after you get your PR or your PGWP. You can really change provinces at that point in time. There is nobody that is stopping you from doing that. There are a lot of legal implications of it, and we can talk about that in a consultation, but really nothing will happen to you if you plan things well. So do not be super specific on the province, on the city and the college. If you get hold of a university that is ready to give you an offer letter, and obviously if you choose a course that makes sense, for example, if you have done your bachelor's 10 years back, you cannot just plan to do another diploma or another bachelor's 10 years down the line, that too in Canada. Then the officer is going to ask a question as to, obviously, you can do the same course back home. Why do you really want to come to Canada, right? Have to plan things well, but really a long gap between between your last education and your proposed education, is insignificant if the justification is proper. You do not really have to think that I have crossed 30, I have crossed 35, I have crossed 40, or even I have crossed 45, so I will not be allowed to come to Canada as a student. Well, it's Canada. Once you come to Canada, once you enroll in a college, you will see 20 something studying with you the same course, or even 45 something, studying with you in the same course as well, because this is how it works and this is there everywhere. right? So you just have to plan things well. If you need professional consultation, drop me a line, contact@nuvonation.ca. Shall be glad to consult you. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.